7:04 here in the East, and President Biden will finally visit the island of Maui today, 2 weeks after those deadly wildfires absolutely destroyed Lahaina.
And now green activists are calling on the president to declare a climate emergency after the disaster.
I wonder if he'll have a comment when asked about Hawaii. Peter Doocy is at the White House with more. Hey, Peter.
And many House Democrats are eager to link the Hawaii fires with climate change. Now there is at least one elected Democrat who is getting impatient with President Biden for not declaring a climate emergency. It's Congressman Earl Blumenauer, and he says, in part, "I refuse to accept that people choosing between burning alive or jumping into the ocean for hours on end is our new normal. This is a crisis, and we need to treat it that way. That starts with President Biden declaring a climate emergency." President Biden's re-election campaign may soon go from quiet to complicated by a third-party candidate if he officially clinches the Democratic nomination and Trump clinches the Republican nod.
I think we're at a point that we've never been in this country where 2/3 of the people are not interested in voting for the Republican or Democratic nominee. If Trump and Biden are the nominees, it's very likely that no labels will get access to the ballot and will offer an alternative. And, if most of the voters don't want A or B, we have an obligation to give them C.
The Biden family is also dealing with dual special counsel investigations and congressional probes. And the National Archives has been given a Wednesday deadline to produce emails that James Comer is claiming will back up accusations of corruption by the Bidens.
We learned that when he was receiving emails pertaining to Ukraine, his son Hunter was copied on them, which we've always heard that the White House has said that Hunter Biden wasn't an employee of the government. He wasn't any part of the government. But if that were true, then why was he receiving emails from the government?
And according to multiple reports this weekend, Hunter Biden's lawyers are so confident there's no there that at least once they threatened the Justice Department with calling President Biden as a fact witness in their defense. Back to you.
Well, what would that have done, Peter? I mean, who does that hurt?
Well, it depends on what he has to say.
It's a threat.
Right, and it would be, the lawyers were arguing that based on what Hunter is accused of, bringing the president, they didn't think it was worthy of bringing the president into a courtroom as a defense witness,
right.
Because it would basically be a constitutional crisis. And we don't know if President Biden even would have done it, because his lawyers would most likely argue to keep him off of a witness stand for any case. But they were really putting the screws to the DOJ and saying that was going to be their next move.
Right. And Peter, in the reporting over the weekend, largely from the New York Times, essentially what it said was David Weiss, who was looking into it when he was a U.S. attorney in Delaware before he became the special counsel guy, he had decided no charges would be brought against Hunter Biden until the IRS whistleblowers popped up. And then suddenly it's like, hey, wait a minute. And then they said, OK, we're going to have to charge him with something.
And these Republicans in Congress who were calling for a special counsel for a long time, but then were mad that it was Weiss because he okayed what they think was a sweetheart deal for Hunter Biden. This is just really going to further upset them that if Hunter Biden's lawyers were putting pressure on, that he may have felt the pressure and acted accordingly.
It's so amazing that it took Congress to go to the Republicans to do the investigation to make progress in 8 months, more than this guy's done in 5 years. And now they're up to as much as $50 million went to Biden-linked corporations, and they still haven't gotten all the bank records yet. Peter, have you heard an explanation of how David Weiss was not even interested in the overseas business operations?
No, but to the point about the actual corruption and trying to link President Biden to any of this, that is where the Hunter side is saying they are so confident that there are no dots to connect the two, that they would put President Biden on the witness stand at great peril to him, because then, but then you got a problem. You're either testifying with a story as you know it, or you're testifying about something that you don't fully understand. But if you're under oath, it just opens up all kinds of problems. And if he truly does not know anything, you probably wouldn't be calling him.
Yeah.
But it just seems like it would be a real
Put him on the.
I mean, we want to ask him the questions that you've been asking him.
I would love
when
to
he's
see him on
under
the
oath.
stand. To see him say over and over again, "My son's done nothing wrong." I don't know if that'll fly.
It's interesting too because you said you aired that soundbite of Larry Hogan, and he said if most of the voters don't want A or B, meaning if it's Trump and if it's Biden, we have an obligation to give them C. It's for the good of the country. But David Axelrod, who was the former senior advisor to Obama, said he thinks that's going to pave a way for Donald Trump.
Yeah, and so basically, if a majority of the country doesn't want a 2020 rematch, who do they want? Somebody like Larry Hogan, we know, didn't run as a Republican because he just was not generating enough interest when he was exploring it.
Right.
But so who do they put forward?
Yeah.
Good question.
See, Joe Manchin doesn't have the majority of Democrats, doesn't have the majority of Republicans. And Larry Hogan could not get more than moderate Republicans.
Well, it's just heating up. Peter, thank you very much for joining us from the White House. Lots to talk about today.
Thanks.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.